Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out 11 words Americans love asking Brits to say.
Well, to be fair, that is what you get for interbreeding a dog with a cat. So, hello, this is Lawrence Brown with Lost in the Pond. Today, on
What'd
this
you
video,
get?
I'm going to be discussing some of those words that Americans so often get us Brits to say quite a lot. Now, just to be clear, before I go ahead, this is not a video about exclusively British words, but rather words that both Brits and Americans use, but that Americans somehow derive a great deal of humour from when they hear people like me, with my accent, saying them.
I don't think I've ever asked anyone to say a word just because of their accent. I don't think. No, I haven't. Are Americans just walking up to British people and asking them to pronounce stuff? That seems a little condescending or... seems a little rude. Rude is the word. But sorry about that, Lawrence. Sorry about that, all you British folks. On behalf of United States citizens, I apologize. Now let's get back to with each other.
Basically, and any Brit that is watching this that has interacted with an American at any point in time will know this to be true. Americans very, very often like to say something along the lines of, I wish I could just stick you in the corner and listen to you speak, which is not at all offensive. Now, the first word...
I've never done that. I can't relate to that.
Now, the first word up here is squirrel, weirdly enough, and this
Squirrel?
suggestion comes from Stacey in Salt Spring Island, Canada.
Squirrel?
The word squirrel, I thought nothing
Squirrel.
of this pronunciation. I just assumed every...
I say squirrel, like one syllable, but I guess it is squirrel. Squirrel. That's weird.
Everybody said it pretty much like I do now. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
And then I realised how Americans say it, and it's more like squirrel. Which kind of sounds like you're pronouncing the word squirrel with a bunch of nuts in your mouth, which is what squirrels do, although they don't talk, so that wouldn't make any sense. So.
They do talk, sir.
Number 2 is mobile, which comes up a lot in conversations about the differences between British and American English, mainly because, of course, Americans use cell phones, British people use mobile phones, but that's not where the differences end. In fact, the main difference here in this particular word is the pronunciation of it, and I think that's why Americans are so ready to hear me say it, because I say mobile, as I said, but Americans, they like to say mobile when referring to things that move or to the phone itself. Unless you're down in Alabama where there's a city spelt exactly the same way, pronounced Mobile, and that is why this word makes my brain melt through my nose all the time. True story, a few days ago I put out a video of me in the bath, and one of the comments after that was, how do you, Lawrence, pronounce the word bath, even though they'd just seen the video in which I pronounced the word bath multiple times. As you can see, I say it as bath, not too dissimilar, in fact, to how most Americans would say it.
That's how I say it, bath. I expected him to say bath.
I think they're expecting me to extend the A like a lot of people in the South do, but I'm from the North, and we do things differently in the North. You need to learn that. Perhaps, if you care to.
He's from Grimsby.
And so, I watching the look of disappointment on the face of the odd American, sometimes very odd American, as they ask me to pronounce this, is heartbreaking in many ways.
People are just asking him to pronounce words? That's so, again, I don't think I've ever done that. I maybe have wanted to do that, but I'd probably be afraid of offending that person or afraid of making them feel like I'm making fun of them. So I wouldn't do that, even though I am making fun of you.
I don't say bath, I say bath.
Bath.
But I imagine to all the sort of southern British people that get that question, it probably brings an ounce of glee to the American that hears it. So keep doing it. Keep doing it. Speaking of bath, you can't really have a bath without water, unless you're my cats. They do that all the time. And as you heard just there, I pronounce it, of course, water, just like most British people.
Water. 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 Although in Pennsylvania they say water.
As I pointed out in my last video, the word water and my pronunciation of it can cause a lot of confusion, actually, particularly for waiters that are serving me, when they'll ask me, what do you want for drink? And I'll say, water. What? Water. What? Water. What?
What?
Water. Oh. Would you like lemon or lime with that, sir?
Lime? No.
But it's the more...
Don't put lime in your water. Lemon only.
But it's the more discerning Americans among you that stop me in the street if you recognize me. Still, nobody does. And you get me to say that very word until I literally cry all of the water out of my body. Thankfully, I don't drive, so I don't have to...
Yo, Lawrence is being harassed. I'm sorry, Lawrence. What are we doing to these Brits, y'all?
Thankfully, I don't drive, so I don't have to deal with this word all that often, and I don't own my own house, so I don't have an attached garage, as I would say. But you know what? Between you and me, this is actually one of those words that I think actually sounds a little less elegant when the British say it. Garage. I'm going to park the car in the garage. Americans do what Southerners in England do with the word bath. Bath.
Garage.
They extend the A. Garage. It's a mouthful, though, the way they say, isn't it? Because it's like, garage. I'm going to park the car in the garage. Then I'm going to lift...
Lawrence, that's a really good American accent. Oh, that's so weird to hear that coming out of his face. I have to hear it again.
They say, isn't it? Because it's like, I'm going to park the car in the garage.
Whoa! I'm going to park the car in the garage. He sounds like me. Why you gotta roll your eyes when you talk like an American, Lawrence? What the fuck?
Then I'm going to lift up the boot and the bonnet, and I'm going to check the windscreen to make sure that the indicator is working correctly. None of that made sense, but I just wanted to sort of convey what it would sound like if an American started talking about car stuff in British terminology.
Oh, that's so weird. It's freaking me out. It's like a different person. Oh, that's so weird. That's so weird.
Ah, the classic tomato, tomato. You say tomato, I say tomato. Well,
tomato.
It's true, actually, yes. I do say tomato. Funny story,
really?
I was in Subway once, and I was ordering a sandwich, which is generally what you do in Subway. I think that the sandwich maker had worked out that I was English very early on.
Most of the people that go into the Subway near where I live just are unhoused individuals, and they go up to the drink machine and wheeze the juice. They just get a little drink out of there. Anyway.
I think that the sandwich maker had worked out that I was English very early on in the sandwich making process. Probably actually before I even got to the cheese. But we got further down the line, and apparently the cogs were turning in her head. She knew. She was waiting. She was waiting for the moment that I got to tomato to hear me say it that way. But here's a bit of a twist. I'd been burned so many times on that word here with Americans that I'd actually reverted to saying tomato. Kind of like how with water I had to, I did that with tomato as well. So when it came time to tell her to put the tomato on my sandwich, I disappointed the crap out of her by saying tomato.
I wouldn't have noticed.
She tried to charge me extra. Of course, there's so...
That's not cool. Who is texting me? I just got an audition, y'all. Someone's thinking of me. Potato.
Of course, there's so much more to that song, Tomato, Tomato. There's the second part where it says, you say potato, I say potato. I don't say potato. Who the hell says potato? I don't think anybody in the world says potato, except maybe a kid trying to learn how to say it. Even they wouldn't. That's too complex.
You say tomato, but not potato? Tomato, potato. Tomato, potato, 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 tomato, potato, tomato, potato, tomato. Who's texting me? Potato.
Potato. Say potato. There's the second part where it says, you say potato, I say potato. I don't say potato. Who the hell says potato?
Who does say potato?
I don't think anybody in the world says potato, except maybe a kid trying to learn how to say it. Even they wouldn't. That's too complex.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Whoever wrote that song needs to really think about their linguistic choices
They're
in life.
They're dead by now, Lawrence.
Vitamin is great, because this is another one where there's like
Vitamin.
a couple of differences in there. Firstly, of course, there is the fact that I pronounce the T and most of you guys don't.
Vitamin.
You guys meaning Americans. I don't mean to generalize you, but I do.
No, do it.
But the biggest difference here, of course, is how we pronounce the first I in the word. So as you heard right there, I would say which sounds like an embarrassing sex noise. Whereas Americans would say I. They're obsessed with I. It sounds like I. And sticking with food-related stuff is the word herb. And as you heard just there, I pronounced it with an H at the beginning, because there's an H there.
There is an H there. Herb.
That's probably something you should do. Although, to be fair, this is something that a lot of Americans may not know about us Brits. We often pronounce the word H as H. We put an H on the word H, which there isn't one, actually.
That actually makes sense. That makes sense. Why don't we do that? H. H should start with an H, right?
Weirdly enough. This is getting all confusing. But it's herb.
I'm
although we don't pronounce the R in herb as Brits either, unless you're from the West Country.
Right.
You might then.
Herb.
And you might drop the H.
Herb.
It was a nice herb that I put on my, I don't know, toast. Why would you put herbs on toast?
He did an Irish accent too? That's really good.
It was a nice herb that I put on my...
Oi.
It was a nice herb that I put on my, I don't know, toast.
Toast.
Why would you put herbs on toast? What am I? Next up, right on schedule, is the word schedule. Now, I am often goaded into saying this word for Americans. It's quite embarrassing, because not only do they giggle, but they tell me that I'm incorrect, and then I can't really rebut them on that. Because if you look at the word historically, it actually originates from Greek, and typically speaking, a lot of Greek loanwords that begin with SCH, like the word school, are pronounced sk. Schedule in this case, whereas it's words like schmaltz that came from German that get that kind of sh sound.
There's a cat behind
really,
him.
I think Americans, I'll give you this one, you win, but don't get used to it. Remember, you may have won the War of Independence, but we re-invaded you with the Beatles and Harry Potter and David Beckham and everything cool from England.
That's right.
Me.
Well,
right?
Technically, yes. Yeah.
And finally...
Don't sell yourself short, Lawrence.
And finally, this word probably sums up this little fella, who I love so much, is the word brilliant. I don't know why it is, but Americans really like to hear me say brilliant. When I was working as a supervisor once here in America for a company, I was presiding over hundreds of workers, and I often said that phrase. If they, did a good job, I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. And they would giggle, and then they would come back to me the next day and ask me to say it again and again until we got no work done. It was the most unproductive time of my life.
Where is he working? Who are these people? I feel like that's inappropriate workplace behavior to make fun of someone's accent. Right? Brilliant. I found myself saying brilliant quite a lot. Brilliant.
It was the most unproductive time of my life. Where are you going, Kat? Oh, okay. Brilliant. But Americans don't really sort of say it any differently, really. I mean, I suppose sometimes they might not pronounce the T at the end. I think they just like the context in which I say it.
That's what it is.
I have heard Americans start to say it in that context, that something is amazingly good, that it's brilliant. But more often than not, I think Americans use it to mean that someone is brilliant, as in they're quite smart. There's brilliance about them intellectually. But what I would advise right now, if you're watching this video, even if you just think my cat is cute and nothing else is really grabbing you, share this video right now with the words, "This is brilliant. This is brilliant." Just so that I can get a lot of views on this one. So.
Deal. I'll do it.
That's it for today's episode of Lost in the Pond. Remember, you can subscribe to me here on YouTube. Please do. Our numbers are going up. It's terrific. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Start looking at those photos because they're brilliant.
Photos.
Where are you going, Kat? He's staying with this. He's not leaving.
What's your cat's name?
Do you want to say something? No. And don't forget, go ahead and check out lostinthepond.com. Other than that, we are all done today. I will see you for the next video.
Right. Brilliant.
Bring on the water segment thing at the end. Water.
Water. Pond is filled with water. I like this graphic. This is an old video, y'all. This is like 8 years old. Brilliant. Yeah, we usually use it to call someone smart. That guy's brilliant. I think the way Brits say brilliant is how Americans say amazing. That's amazing or awesome. That was awesome. That was brilliant. Similar. Y'all, let's go to lostinthepond.com. What's going on there? Look at that! If you haven't had the chance to catch up on the latest episode of Lost in the Pond, do that now. That's how he would say it. Video, let's talk about American raccoons. I like that idea. United States of America, 6 facts about America you won't believe but must. Brilliant. Do that now. And it takes you to the... okay. The memos. In 2008, Lawrence Brown was swept to America by the fickle hand of fate and marriage, which means he now lives in the U.S. He's now lived in the U.S. longer than the O.J. Simpson has served jail time. Oh, that's funny. And also because it seemed like a good idea at the time, he figured I'd document the whole thing on social media, not the OJ part, which is where Lost in the Pond comes in. What does it say? I can't read that. Oh, visit Pondland. What is Pondland? Oh, t-shirts. That's a good idea. I wonder how many t-shirts he sells. Should I start selling t-shirts? I don't know. I wouldn't buy a t-shirt with my face on it. Or anything that I say on it. I wouldn't know what to put on it. Show me on a map, maybe? Show me on a map! Yeah, that's like my only thing. I don't know. Anyway, great video, Lawrence. I'm sorry that Americans are asking you to pronounce stuff. That seems demeaning. It seems like they're objectifying your vocal cords. Next time they ask you to do that, say, I'm not here, I'm up here. I'm not down here, I'm up here. You know what I'm realizing now too is that this video was made before he started speaking like Robin Leach. I can't play a clip of CNN on YouTube. I can't play a clip of Owen on there.
And I think that when you can bring a smile to a viewer's face, and when you can make them say, you know, hey, if I work a little harder, perhaps if I strive a little more.
Robin Lee. Oh, he passed away in 2018. Oh. Y'all be sure to go to Lost in the Pond and like and subscribe. And then maybe give me a like and subscribe while you're at it, right here, for me. And maybe also check out my other reaction channel called JJLA Reacts Music, where I react to music. This is music. Technically. That's technically music. My reaction is, that's hot. Okay, this is going off the rails. Well, y'all, thanks for watching this with me. I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. I'd like to thank everyone who has bought a mug. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later. That's a good one.